Minister Pramod Sawant, who visited the site, said that most of the victims were kitchen staff, including 3 women, and added that 3 to 4 tourists were also among those who have lost their life. Listen in.
जो आज क्लब में जो इंसिडेंट्स हुआ, जो अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट्स, इस तरह का इंसिडेंट्स कभी नहीं होना चाहिए। गोवा जैसे टूरिज्म स्टेट में कुछ जो इलीगल या विदाउट परमिशन इस तरह के जो चलाते हैं, या और इसी में जो फायर इंसिडेंट्स हो, इसी के कारण यहाँ पे जो उनके स्टाफ और एक 3-4 टूरिस्ट जो अंदर थे, इन्हें 2-3 इनको जल के हुआ, बाकी लोग बिकॉज ऑफ द सफोकेशन उनकी डेथ हो गई। ऑल टुगेदर 23 लोगों की डेथ हो चुकी है। जिनकी डेथ हो चुकी है उनके प्रति संवेदना मैं व्यक्त करता हूँ। गोवा सरकार की तरफ से पूरी उसकी इंक्वायरी की जाएगी और जो कल्प्रिट इसमें हैं, जो उनको बिहाइंड द बार्स किया जाएगा।
सर, क्या आप मानते हैं कि बहुत बड़ी घटना है? पिछले 5 सालों में इस तरह की घटना कभी नहीं हुई थी।
गोवा के हिस्ट्री में इस तरह का टूरिज्म लेवल पे इंसिडेंट होना है बहुत बड़ी घटना है। इस तरह का इंसिडेंट कभी नहीं हुआ था। तो इस तरह की फायर सेफ्टी और ट्रेजेडी, दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम एटलीस्ट, 10-20 साल में तो पहला इंसिडेंट, इतनी बड़ा इंसिडेंस कभी नहीं हुआ था। पर हैंड्स फोर्थ मैं मेरे पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट, फायर डिपार्टमेंट इनको पूरी तरह से सेफ्टी लेने की, सभी प्रिकॉशंस लेने के लिए कहूँगा।
Let me also bring in my colleague Nilesh, who's been tracking all the details. Nilesh, we witnessed a tragedy in Goa. 23 people had lost their life. What do we know about what really happened at 1 o'clock yesterday at night, intervening night of Saturday and Sunday? Because we're learning that there's been a cylinder blast after which 23 people have lost their lives.
Well, it's an absolutely unfortunate incident being reported from one of a state which is highly attractive tourism globally, not just from India and neighboring states. And this is raising a lot many concerns. Now, as per officials, the top cop of Goa Police in his statement has mentioned, as per primary assessment, it seems like it was a cylinder blast. However, various other options are also being looked into. Various other angles are also being looked into, because we understand that it was a nightclub and it was a celebration point. So was there any inflammable material or a celebration material that was used during this sequence, which ultimately resulted or somewhat intensified the blaze? That angle is also being explored. However, one point that cannot be ruled out is that the lack of fire safety norms, because 23 individuals have lost their life, innocent people who had gathered to celebrate a joyous occasion, ultimately lost their life. And maximum number of individuals who lost their life is the staff member of this nightclub. Now, as per Pramod Sawant, the CM of Goa, in his statement, he mentions that as the fire broke out, many individuals were able to escape through the main gate. However, certain individuals trying to save themselves from the blaze run through the basement and into the kitchen, and ultimately that became their point where they suffocated to the dense smoke, the dense fume, which was resulted by the massive fire. An ex gratia of 2 lakh rupee is also being announced by PM Relief Fund, be it PM Narendra Modi or President Draupadi Murmu. Both have extended their condolences. However, it is also a point that will compensation be enough to repair the loss that the families, the grieving family members are currently suffering, and who exactly should be held responsible for? The authorities who did not establish the checks and balances. Now remember, it is month of December, which is a high peak point of tourism, which attracts global tourism, be it for Christmas or New Year celebration. We can only understand if this situation could have been a week after or a few days from now, the number of these death tolls would have been double or triple fold. So will authorities now be taking strict action? And if yes, then why this delay is being caused? Why the authorities were waiting for 23 innocent lives to be lost? That remains one of the questions which currently CM Pramod Sawant is seen to be avoiding.
Absolutely. In fact, inquiry has been ordered, compensation has been announced, but many are asking if that is enough. Stay on with us, Arunil and Nilesh. We have a breaking update coming in. Prime Minister has announced compensation of 2 lakh rupees. And let me take you through what he has said. He has said that the fire mishap in Goa is deeply saddening. My thoughts are with all those who have lost their loved ones. May the injured recover at the earliest. Spoke to Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant ji about the situation. The state government is providing all the possible assistance. To which now the Goa Chief Minister has replied. He has said that the Prime Minister spoke to me regarding the tragic fire incident at Arpora and apprised him of the current situation on the ground. The government of Goa is extended all the assistance to the affected families during this difficult time, is what he has said. So the Chief Minister of Goa has spoken to the Prime Minister about what has unfolded there. An inquiry has been ordered. A compensation has also been given. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Arunil, who's also been tracking details. Arunil, what is the statement? Take us to the statement that is coming from the Goa Chief Minister as far as this tragedy is concerned.
Well, it was PM Modi who also tweeted about it, saying that he spoke to CM Pramod Sawant to get an idea about what exactly transpired at this North Goa restaurant, which resulted in 23 unfortunate deaths. CM Pramod Sawant has also put it on his social media now that he has apprised PM Modi about what exactly happened. An ex gratia has also been announced to the kin or family members of those who have lost their life. Now, big question over here is CM Pramod Sawant was asked repeatedly that why checks and balances were not done, why fire safety norms were not in place. It seemed like he was trying to pin the blame on the bar owners or the restaurant owners who have been operating in Goa, so saying that such kind of illegal bars, pubs should not operate. But it is the duty of the government to put proper checks and balances. It is the duty of CM Pramod Sawant to ensure that there is no illegality operating with respect to bars, pubs, considering Goa is a tourist state, considering what Nilesh was also pointing out, that this is peak December. It is the main festive season in Goa. Tourists from worldwide travel to Goa. So why, before this peak season at least, fire safety norms were not put in place? Who is supposed to be blamed for it? Whether any punitive measures be imposed on the concerned minister related to the department, basically the tourism minister. All these questions clearly come to the fore and are need to be asked with the Goa government as well, with CM Pramod Sawant himself also, because startlingly also pointed out this is the first such big instance or an incident related to tourism in Goa. We would want to remind him that recently at the Sunburn Festival, which is a renowned festival in Goa, such kind of a massive fire incident had taken place. Fortunately, at that time, there were no loss of lives, but it could have set an alarm bells. It could have set alarm bells ringing within the government circle, within the CMO office as well, CM office. But it looks like no lessons were learned, and now 23 unfortunate lives have been lost.
Absolutely not the first time that such an incident has happened there. Coming to you, Nilesh, as you also pointed out, this is not just a national destination, but also a global one. In fact, we're learning that 3 to 4 tourists have also lost their life. Mainly those who have lost their life are the kitchen staff. But the major question is about the safety norm. Was the government aware about it? Were the authorities also aware about the safety norms there as far as this restaurant is concerned? Because this restaurant is also a very prominent one, a well-known restaurant in that area.
Well, it's Akanksha, and that remains into the purview of investigation, whether all the fire safety norms were in place or not. Because remember, 19 individuals who were found inside the premises, they were into the basement, they were into the kitchen. That point became a trapping point for them, and due to the dense fume, they suffocated and lost their lives. Among these 19, it was all of the staff members, the kitchen staff, the helping staff of this particular nightclub, and other 4 were the tourists. Their identity is currently being ascertained by the cops, like which country were they from, and what gender were they from, what age did they belong to. So all of those is currently being investigated. investigated, because you can understand by the visuals the nature of the fire. It was a massive one, and it has possibly left a mark, difficult to identify the bodies as well. So that all angle is currently being explored. But the primary question remains that why no checks and balances were established, why the CFO wasn't actively participating into this entire process of checking whether the fire safety norms are being followed or not, why these nightclubs were allowed to run without these safety norms, why they were not penalized. That also remains one of the questions, though Pramod Sawant, the CM of state, is trying to shift blames onto the nightclub's owner. But as Arunil also pointed out, the primary responsibility of all of these aspects remains onto the fire department, which is ultimately being handled by the state authorities. So they cannot brush off their hand or out of this responsibility, because 23 innocent lives have been lost, 4 among including tourists, which also sends a very bad image of the state across the globe, because it happens to be a traveling hub for individuals coming from various countries, and ultimately spreading across the message of how well Goa is, how good facilities of Goa is. And if we are presenting such pictures in front of these tourists, you can understand it is also bringing bad name to the state. So ultimately it is the state government which should be looking into all of this aspect, whether the safety norms are being followed or not, whether fire departments was in place at time, whether the rescue operation was being done or not, or was it that the nightclub staff were left alone to safeguard themselves as well as the tourist members. But another important point is that that it is month of December, and if it could have been on the 31st of night, or maybe 25th of December, that is Christmas, that number could have been possibly even bigger.
Absolutely.
So that again remains the question. The primary question still remains unanswered as to who should be held responsible for this. The government, which is trying to brush off its hands out of responsibility, or these bars and nightclubs owners on whom currently seems to be that CM is trying to put onus on.
Absolutely. In December, not just Indians, but people from foreign countries as well, they travel to Goa. It is a global destination. What was the cause of the fire, and what the safety norms were flouted is something that will come out during the investigation. But stay on with us, Nilesh and Arunil. In fact, Goa DGP has spoken to media. Let's listen in.
एक ये अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट हुआ है यहाँ पे अल्पोरा के अंदर में एक रेस्टोरेंट कम क्लब है। वहाँ पे 12:04 पे पुलिस कंट्रोल रूम में इंफॉर्मेशन आई कि वहाँ कोई फायर इंसिडेंट हुआ है, और वहाँ इमीडिएटली पुलिस और फायर ब्रिगेड और एम्बुलेंस वगैरह सब ने रश किया उधर। तो अब फायर तो अंडर कंट्रोल है, और वहाँ से डेड बॉडीज सारी निकाली गई हैं। तो उसमें टोटल जो डेथ काउंट है उसमें 23 है, और इसमें जो ज़्यादातर जो बॉडीज मिली हैं वो नीचे जहाँ किचन है इसका रेस्टोरेंट का, वहाँ पे डेड बॉडीज ये मिली है। और अभी इस घटना के कारणों की जांच पुलिस करेगी, और उसमें जो भी उसके कंक्लूजन निकल के आते हैं जांच के, उसके हिसाब से हम लोग इसमें एक्शन लेंगे।
तो इसमें कैसे हुआ था, और इसमें क्या टूरिस्ट लोग था कि तो लोकल थे?
अभी इस बात की हम लोग पड़ताल कर रहे हैं कि इसमें कितने स्टाफ हैं, जो मैनेजमेंट है उसकी मदद से ये चीज़ करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि इसमें कितने स्टाफ हैं और कितने इसमें जो विजिटर हैं उस रेस्टोरेंट के वो हो सकते हैं। अपेरेंटली ज़्यादातर जो दिखाई दे रहे हैं अभी तक जो प्राइम एफएसआई और इनिशियली हम लोगों ने देखा है वो स्टाफ दिखाई दे रहे हैं, और कुछ लोग इसमें विजिटर भी हो सकते हैं, और जल्दी हम इसको इस्टेब्लिश कर लेंगे।
तो क्या रेस्टोरेंट बंद था क्या, नहीं तो सर क्लोज था क्या?
नहीं, रेस्टोरेंट तो मतलब वर्किंग था, और लेकिन ज़्यादा शायद तादाद नहीं थी उस समय टूरिस्ट की, और जब आग लगी तो ज़्यादातर जो लोग थे जो वहाँ खाना वाना खा रहे थे वो लोग वहाँ से निकलने में सफल हुए।
So, breaking update coming in as far as the tragedy in Goa is concerned. We're learning that as per the initial information, the nightclub did not abide by the fire safety norms. The fire was mainly around the kitchen area is what we're learning. 23 people have lost their life. We're learning that this incident took place around 1 a.m. Last night and occurred around midnight. It has been now brought under control. The fire was mainly around the kitchen area on the ground floor. And the question arising about the cause of the fire and also whether the safety norms were flouted as well. We're learning that teams are engaged in the rescue and evacuation as well. Let me go across to my colleague Nilesh, who's been tracking all the details. Nilesh, we're learning that the nightclub did not abide by the fire safety norms, and the fire was mainly around the kitchen area, which is on the ground floor. So do we know whether there was enough space for the kitchen staff to leave that area, and could that be the reason that they were caught in that area and died by suffocation?
There is Akanksha, as far as what we are picking up through our sources, and the cops have also notified this, that after the fire broke out, the crowd divided basically into two groups. One rushed out of the nightclub through the main door, and another section of the crowd, which majorly involved the staff members of the nightclub, rushed into the basement and into the kitchen area. However, the exact scenario is still unclear, but what we are understanding that these two spots, that is the basement and the kitchen, ultimately turned out to be a trap zone where 19 innocent were killed due to suffocation. Other 4 individuals included the tourist members who were found into different part of the nightclub. Currently what we are also picking up that the onus is being put up onto the nightclub, that they did not adhere to the fire safety norms. They did not follow the fire safety norms and regulations, and which is why this entire loss of life that is currently coming to the fore. However, another aspect to this is that if any particular nightclub or any department is not following its standards, that could ultimately be also a responsibility of the government itself. The fire brigade should be held responsible for it. The CFO should be held responsible for it as to why these timely checks and balances were not in place. We are again pointing out that it is month of December, a month that is sees densely populated tourism for various reasons, particularly for Christmas and New Year celebration, and which is why it becomes a standard procedure and SOP to be followed that every housing complex, societies and such eateries and nightclubs should be scrutinized even much more severely to check whether these fire safety norms are in place or not, whether fire extinguishers are in place or not, fighting systems are in place or not, and how quickly the fire system could respond. So this is a standard procedure that should have been in place, and if that would have been followed, lessons could have been learned from past mistakes. These 23 innocents' lives could have been saved, which also includes 4 tourist individuals coming in from different states.
Absolutely. In fact, we're learning that the nightclub did not abide by the fire safety norms, and the fire started in the kitchen on the ground floor, and it sort of became a trap zone is what my colleague there has been telling us. We'll continue to keep tracking this very closely. With this, a short break.